Goodbye, artillery. That's the shock headline from World of Tanks. Yep, apparently everyone's getting very, very excited about a translation of a developer's session, developer's stream that went out yesterday, where apparently they said that they would remove artillery as a class from the game if the new stun mechanics that they're testing on the sandbox do not receive positive feedback from players. So I don't know whether that's a threat or whether it's a promise or what it is, but that is the shocking truth. The artillery are gone. So anyway, this is Gamer Dom. I just thought I'd do a quick addendum to my ramblings video that I did today, or posted today, just because I thought people would be interested if they haven't already seen this. There's been some it's always the way you wait and do a video on the news that's coming out of the game, and then suddenly there's the moment you post it, there's a whole load of extra stuff that comes out that's interesting. So anyway, this was worth, I think, running through. So yes, end of artillery as we know it. So we have a song for that, some music in memory of our dear one-shotters, our annoying sky cancers, our annoying pigs. Okay, enough of that rubbish. So this is the story that was posted to the Daily Bounce. It's also been on the Status Report and Armoured Patrol, lots of other places, and I've seen it flag around on multiple Facebook pages and groups and what have you, because it's getting people very excited. So this was a developers Q&A that was held in Russian yesterday, Thursday the 23rd. And some really, really interesting stuff. So we'll start at the bottom. Wargaming is considering to remove the SPG class if the new stun mechanic is negatively received. Interesting. Now, is that just a translation thing? Do they mean that they'll remove the stun mechanic if it's badly received, or do they mean the whole class? I mean, they seem to suggest the class there, but I've seen it mentioned elsewhere. Status report here. So this is status report say if the new stun mechanic is not well received by users, we will cut arty from the game. So that seems to suggest again that it's the arty that are going, not the stun mechanic. So interesting. I think it would be a massive mistake personally. I don't think it's going to happen. B, I think it would be a massive mistake. I can't think of a C. So why, GamerDom, do you think it's a massive mistake? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the way the maps are at the moment, a lot of the maps, you get a tank like, I don't know, one of the VKs, hull down, VK100-01Ps, or a T-32 or something like that, hull down at the end of a corridor where it's almost impossible to get round them. Try and shift the little bugger if there's no artillery in the game. At least with artillery, and I know it's the old joke, oh, arty stops camping. Well, to a certain degree it does. If I know myself, whenever I'm playing a game and I'm in something that's capable of sniping and I see there's no artillery on the enemy team, I change my style of play. I will go and sit in a bush for longer than I probably would do otherwise. I'll go and find somewhere to snipe from first of all. If I'm a big heavy Japanese super obese tank, for instance, if there's no artillery, I'll take a more direct route to where I'm going to. It changes the way you play. You remove that class entirely, it unbalances the game in my book. And I know people will rant and rave about one shot and how it's so unfair, you can be hit from one end of the map to the other, blah blah blah. Personally, I've played a few games on the sandbox using the new mechanic, and I have to say I really like it. It gets a big thumbs up for me. It made playing RT interesting because when RNG was against you, at least you were still doing something, whereas at the moment you have a bad day and you're playing artillery and you just miss every single shot, and at the end of the game you have nothing to show for it apart from the fact a load of credits you've spent and you've had no influence on the game at all. At least with the new mechanics, if you miss, you do a bit of splash damage. The splash radius is increased, and you can at least stun the enemy team, which gives you credits, gives you experience. So I like it. So the other thing they talked about, there's quite a lot of really interesting stuff coming up. Premium light tanks will not be changed. Now apparently they thought about this long and hard, and decided that to keep the +2 -2 that there is on the premium lights makes more sense once tier 10s are introduced into the game. Also missed this one here. They're discussing if platoons of 3 artillery will be allowed. So I thought the whole idea was they were talking about having a minimum of 3. Personally, I think it should be 2, so I'm quite happy if they make that 2. Interesting changes. So if you have experience on a tier 8 light tank, that will stay on that tier 8, but the crew will move to tier 9, just like the tanks. So the 1390, if you've got that at the moment and you've unlocked it, you've got a load of experience on it, that it appears that the experience will stay on that tank. So talking about the tier 10 light tanks, they're saying that if a player has assuming they come in at the next patch, it's rumoured that they'll come in on the next patch, that there's some of those tier 8 lines will continue now to tier 10 for the light tanks. So they're saying that if a player has experience on a tier 8 light tank, that will stay on that tier 8, but the crew will move to the tier 9. Okay, so it's a little bit clearer on the status report. It says if you have XP gathered on one of the current tier 8 light tanks, 1390 for example, the experience will stay on that tier 8 tank. However, you will get the new tier 8 light tank as well as the new tier 9 light, and the crew will stay with the tier 9 tank. So that's fairly clear. So if you've got a light tank at the moment, you're training him up. I mean, I have to say with the lights that I've got at the moment, I've unlocked the automatic crew training thing, so that all the XP is staying on the tank, thinking that I might have to unlock a new tank. But it looks like if they move up, we'll get the tier 9, and the crew will move to that, and then the experience that's still on the tier 8 will stay there. Seems a bit of a clumsy way. Why wouldn't you move the experience up as well? Because all it means is you're now going to have to use a lot of free XP to get it off that light tank, which is slightly annoying. Maybe that's the master plan. Light tank missions will remain unchanged for the moment. Okay. It's possible that there will be new tier 8 premium light tanks. Well, I think that's pretty much odds on, right? They're bringing out premium tanks all the time, so obviously there's going to be a tier 8 light tank. I think that will be absolutely given. Fewer players are online at one time. It would be difficult for matchmaking. Well, yeah, we know that. Skills-based matchmaking will never be introduced to random battles. Shock horror probe. So people who wanted that into the game, I'm afraid you're going to be unlucky. Very, very unlucky. It's not going to be skill-based. And reality is it would be really hard for them to do that, because you'd have to take into allowance, whether the player is good in that particular type of tank, that class of tank, that tier of tank. It's not just as simple as, oh, he's a 57%er, let's put him up against another 57%er. He could be 57%er, but he's never played anything above a tier 5. Whereas the other guy has played tier 10s all the time. So it'd be really difficult to code that in. So never going to happen, folks. Sorry about that. It looks like much like the German lines, heavy lines, had a whole load of buffing. It looks like the Russian ones are on the way. So IS-7 and T-44 will be buffed soon, but not in the next patch. STI will have a new mechanic, no further revealed for now. No further details revealed. Okay, well, we'll see. they're looking at a whole load of graphic options, but they're very keen to make sure that people with lower spec PCs can continue to play without a problem. Chat to all will not return. Good. That was toxic, absolute toxic. When for newer players, you used to be able to talk to the other team in chat. Now that's been removed, and you can imagine the toxicity between the two teams sometimes, and between certain players and people accusing each other of hacking and cheating, and I'm going to come down there and whatever, was just disgraceful. The Wargaming recognised that and just removed it, and fantastic. I think that was brilliant. It's a shame sometimes you can't just say hi to people on the other team that you might know, and it's a shame that you can't congratulate people for doing well, but the reality is most people were dicks and they behaved like dicks in it, so they got rid of it, and I can't say I complain about that. Perks and skills will be reworked, but it's a difficult process and will take time. Okay, there was some talk about this a while back. The perks as we've got it and the skills we've got on the crews has been the same for a long time, and some talk about them even introducing 6 cents permanently onto every crew member, so every commander had 6 cents, and also introducing some new skills. We'll see. They've done it in World of Warships. There was a whole reworking of the skills, but it is hard to do, so we'll see. Self-propelled guns will be able to splash a lot more, but will kill a lot less. So again, this gets to the heart of people's moans about artillery, that ability to one-shot tanks from range. They're trying to find ways. So the sandbox at the moment is obviously testing the stun mechanics and reduced penetration and reduced alpha of artillery shells. But in terms of, they've increased the splash radius, and I think that's a good way to go. I think also the thing they've done on the test server that they're not talking about here, sorry, on the sandbox, is they have removed all the premium shells from the artillery, so, and AP if they had AP. So artillery can only fire HE or a sort of slightly premium version of HE that sort of has even more splash, and I think they should do that instantly. That should be the first thing they change. There's ideas on how to remove or rework team killing to be tested. I assume that they mean stop that happening anymore. Somehow that it'll stop team kills. Good luck to them. I hope they do it. It happens. I have to say, it doesn't seem to happen quite as much as normal, touch wood, as it used to, but it does still happen. Personal missions will get a new set of missions. Good. I think for some people who've gone right the way through them, they probably appreciate that. For people, I'm through to the last set, but they're so god awful difficult. There's no way I'm going to get the object. So I'd love to have some new missions to keep me interested. Experience for tanking and hidden and hiding statistics won't be introduced. Don't know what that means. Some tanks like the KV-5 and the T-54 Mod 1 will be completely redone in order to buff them. So it does look like the Russian tanks are going to get some love in the future. So very, very interesting indeed. So there you go. Thought you'd appreciate seeing that. No more arty. So you can cheer, you can cry, whatever you like. No, seriously, I wonder whether it's a translation error. I wonder also whether it's just the fact that I don't know, some kind of threat, get people moaning about it. I suspect very strongly that the sandbox changes will be implemented in some way within the game, so we'll get less one-shotting, we'll get more enjoyment for the artillery class player. I don't see they can remove the whole thing, whole tree out of the game. It just doesn't seem feasible. Maybe I'm wrong, but I hope not, because I like to play artillery occasionally. It's not something I'd play regularly, but it's nice to play every once in a while. And I do think seriously that you would really make gameplay very challenging because of the ability for particularly these new heavier tanks that are coming out to basically be impregnable to, imagine you've got a defender in a city map, or sorry, city map's not a great example for artillery, but say you've got a defender who's in a really strong position, and you're in a tier 6 tank. It's really hard to get round and to the side of them, around the back of them, to try and put some shells in. You never pen at the front. But if you've got some artillery support, you can play a different way. You can just basically track him. You can hang back, keep him spotted, and let the artillery work him over. If you remove that class entirely, how the hell are some of the lower tier tanks going to cope? I do not see it happening. I hope it doesn't happen, and I hope people don't regret if it did happen, the consequences of taking that class out of the game. So my two penneth. So yeah, the end of artillery. It's been a pleasure to play with you, to enjoy your gameplay, to enjoy the squeals and the hatred of other players as you squash them with your gun from across the other side of the map. But like all relationships, it comes to an end eventually. No, I hope not. I want to keep firing my love. It's too evil. And I'll sue those bastards over there in Kiev Cyprus, if they take away my premium Lefebvre. And that's all I can say for it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Quick sort of addendum to Ramblings of a Fool. So that reminds me, this weekend is a special experience fever, apparently, ×3, and you've also got increased experience conversion. So if you're looking to change a whole load of your free XP into regular XP, or the XP on the tanks into free XP, this weekend is where you do it. You get 1 to 35 experience, whereas at the moment it's 1 to 25, so that's good. ×3 on first victory of the day as well. There's also some interesting missions, and we can see the way Wargaming are thinking already, because these are only for premium tanks. That's the first. So first one is you get 50% of the plus 50% experience for each battle if you take out a premium tank in a random battle, and finish in the top 10 for base experience of your team, but win. So good luck for that. It's the weekend after all. Then there's a special mission for tiers 2 to 5 premium tanks only, again, where you get 15,000 experience, which is rather nice. Win a total of 25 battles and be in the top 10 on base experience of your team. There's another one for tier 6 to 7 tanks, again premium only. You get 30,000 free XP, but you've got to win 25 battles and be in the top 10. Then the top one is tier 8 premium tanks, so you get 50,000 free XP if you drive your premium tank and you finish in the top 10 on base XP in 25 wins. Actually that one doesn't. Oh yeah, you do need to win. Yeah, it'll win. So there you go. Now you know what's coming for the weekend. Something for the weekend, sir. So there you go. I'm off to blow up some more tanks with my arty and get shouted at, and I wish you a really good weekend. Enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take them too seriously, and if you can see your way through to clicking like and maybe subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely spiffing. Thank you so much indeed. This is Gamer Dom signing out. See you soon.